Real talk. No bull. Real talk. We're putting it all on the table. You know what to do.
Welcome. Sorry, we're just discussing what episode we're actually on today. I forgot.
19.
19.
We're gonna start losing count soon.
It's my lucky number, actually.
Is it?
19.
I haven't even thought about mine.
You don't have a lucky number.
69. No, I don't have one.
I got 4 lucky numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's greedy.
Wow. 11, 19, 28, and 65.
I'm guessing it's days of birthdays,
Nah.
isn't it?
Nah. Well, 11. Oh, I got this real weird thing about the 11. And I'll have to go into another time because there's a whole big story around that. Yeah. But, yeah, episode 19. Here we are.
Yeah,
Here we
smashing
are.
them out the park.
Yeah. We're almost into the 20s.
20s,
Yeah.
nervous 20s. I just
Yeah.
made that up, but
Nervous 20s.
yeah, that's when
Yeah.
we start hopefully bringing out some guests,
Living a little.
living a little. Yeah.
Young adults
Yeah.
in their 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
It's maturing.
That's it. Hey, look, so we've got a little bit of a topic today that we're going to talk about, and a bit of a trigger warning, bit of a disclaimer. Look, we're not professionals on the matter. There is lived experience here, something that I've been around a lot, and it's something that a lot of other people go through also. But today is the 10th of September, and it's World Suicide Prevention Day. Now, the algorithm's probably going to hate us for using the word suicide. But
Suicide,
honestly, I don't give a fuck. Like,
none given.
it's too many people think that it's like some kind of like taboo subject that we can't talk about because of the risk of like copycats and all this sort of stuff. But the thing is, suicide in the modern day and age is fucking the real pandemic that is like it's fucked, man. It's fucked. And to be honest, like, it's great to have, like, I think it's like Suicide Prevention Month, and today's like the day that is recognized or whatever. And it's great to have these things for awareness, but I don't think we need these days for these things.
No.
Because we should be aware of these things all of the time. You know what I mean?
Doesn't need to be. Yeah, it shouldn't need to be rammed in your face. It should just be something that's on everyone's mind. You know,
Yeah.
mental health is
Yeah.
it's a big thing at the moment, isn't it?
That's it, man. That's it. And like, that's why every year I do Movember. You know, shave off all this beautifulness, and I grow a dirty slug.
I do.
Yeah.
No.
You gonna do it with me this
Nope.
year? Oh, come on, we'll raise some money.
I haven't been clean shaven since since Abby was born. So once in 10 years have I been clean shaven.
Wow.
And even then I wasn't even clean shaven, but it was just like a very short cut and you could see my actual skin.
Yeah. See, man,
no.
I go through like many faces every year, man. Like, I'll shave it off, grow it out, cut a mow.
I'm tempted just to shave my beard and keep the mow,
Yeah.
but I don't know. We'll see.
Nah, I think you need to go clean, bro.
Get the handlebars out
You need to go clean.
like Jared. We'll see later on
Yeah.
a different episode.
But yeah, so yeah, today's Suicide Prevention Month,
Yep.
and it's really like Australia and New Zealand have a pretty big problem with it. We have a pretty big problem with it. We have heaps of services set up to look out for people and to help people, but yet still so many people slip through the cracks of these services. And I guess from my own personal experience, like, I've lost an uncle, my Uncle John. I've lost 2 best friends, Sam Williams when we were 17, my mate Zan Turner back in 2018, and then I've lost 3 other mates, Travis, Andrew, and Clinton. And then my sister has lost people, and I know other people who have lost people close to them. And so it's really a like in New Zealand, you either know somebody who's taken their life by suicide, or you know somebody who has been affected by somebody taking their life. And it's really messed up that it's not something that's ever really pushed. In the last, like maybe 10 years, you got guys like ex-comedian Mike King. I'm not sure if you know Mike King, but he was pretty prevalent Kiwi comedian, TV celebrity, and he now runs a foundation called Gumboot Friday, and he raises a lot of money to help suicide prevention and mental health and all of those things. And then you've got things like Movember, which is, you know, New Zealand, Australia wide. There's a lot more emphasis on it, but there's still a lot of people who still taking their life. Like even back when I was living in little old Waitara, before we moved over here in 2022, I think there was 3 local dads in a really short space of time, and they all took their lives too. And so it kind of begs to me, like, what's causing it? You know, why do so many men? Because the male population is represented more. Like, yes, females take their life too, but men predominantly take their life more than females. So if we had the answer to that, then we'd obviously be able to stop it. But yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a hard one.
Yeah. I think you touched on it before, though, that we've got more resources out there more than ever, but you can't make people use them.
No.
You know, and that's the thing. And, you know, that whole "it ain't weak to speak," that's probably the most accurate term or saying, I reckon, because, you know, it's just people that are either ashamed or they're judged, or, you know, they don't want to open up. And yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I got some stats here. Let's run through a couple of stats.
My phone on silent. I think I stuffed up.
You fucking do that. All right. We're right there?
Yeah, we're good.
You
Sorry,
good, mate?
guys.
You
Yeah,
good?
I've been pretty good lately.
No, you're all right, mate. You're all right. So in Australia, they run the statistics year by year to calendar date. So when I was doing some research for this, they said that the stats for 24 won't be released till the end of 25. You could deep dive into some government websites to probably find those stats, but I didn't really have the time last night after 3 hours of study myself.
Mate, we're just dads. What did we find quickly on the first couple of pages?
That's right. That's right. So up to 2023 was the last sort of lot of public information that, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody out there can find stats for 24, that'd be a big help for me, because this is something I'm really passionate about this. And I have been for some time, and people who know me and who have known me for a long time, I bag on about this all the time, but it's really important to me just because of the amount of people who I've lost. And I've talked to other people who've lost even more people than I have. And it just amazed me every time. Like, it just makes me feel so sad, you know? So in Australia in 23, we had 3,214 suicides. So 2,419 of those were men.
Jeez.
And 795 of those are female. There's nearly 75% per 1,000 that were men. That's huge. So it's kind of like, and then for 24, the approximate road fatalities was 1,300 people. We hear about all of the road fatalities.
And it's like, yeah.
And we're constantly told with campaigns to slow down on our roads. We're killing ourselves, you know, speeding kills. But what about mental health? What about these things that are taking good people out of our societies, away from their families? You know? In New Zealand, our year's a bit different. The way that they calculate it on the tax year.
Okay.
So 30th of June to 30th of June. So the latest stats are for 23 to 24. So 617 suspected suicides. Okay. And then it's given me rates for Māori, Pacific, and Asian, but not really New Zealand, European, Pākehā. Says it's not broken out in media summaries. So I'm not sure why that is, but from experience of looking through years prior, Māori men are the highest represented in those statistics. They always have been. For some reason, Māori men take their life more than any other person in New Zealand, which is really fucking sad. And then last year in New Zealand, which New Zealand had the lowest road toll death rate they've had since 2014 at 289 people. So usually on a yearly average, more people die by suicide in New Zealand than they do with road toll and drownings combined. But yet, through the course of my life, I've seen so many campaigns on the TV for slowing down the roads, we're killing ourselves on rural roads, country roads. And there's been so many things around, you know, drowning and teaching us how to swim. I mean, in New Zealand, you're no more than 127 k's from the ocean. So it's really quite important that we learn how to swim in NZ because you're always by the ocean. And I guess the same with Australia. You're always on the coastline somewhere, right? And so, but yeah, these figures are always too high. Doesn't matter if they're better than the year before or if they've dropped by 1,000 people. You know, 1,000 people is still 1,000 people too many.
Should be
right?
zero.
I mean, and even, you know, you look at the population of Australia and you think, well, you know, there's 28 million people in Australia and 3,500 people have taken their lives. It's not many, but it's still too many. It's still too fucking many people. And so, yeah, and same with New Zealand. I mean, there's 5.3 million in New Zealand at the moment, and 620 people are still too many people. Yeah, and it really, really just fucking breaks my heart, especially when you get people leaving families behind, young kids.
Do you reckon it's because the modern role has changed for a man? We're expected, like not expected, but the shift's changing from what men and women, and you know we've taken a lot more on than I think previous men have.
Yeah, well,
at an average.
Yeah, well, I guess there's so much more societal pressure now to succeed, you know, but the cost of living is through the roof, and I guess for men it's a pride thing, right? When you can't provide for your family and you feel like you're failing at that, then you know they might feel like they're better off. The family's better off without them, which is never the case. Which is never the case.
So crept in my head.
Yeah, and I'd say that's probably the main reason. A lot of men probably do, but I guess mental health comes in all forms, right? And from my own experience with my mates, it's kind of like the ones who have done it have never really said anything. There might have been subtle signs that had you seen those signs before in somebody else, you might have been able to pick up on them. But the ones who do it don't usually say anything.
They don't advertise it, yeah.
Yeah. And like, I guess with my Uncle John, I was 21. And growing up, my father and my Uncle John had kind of butted heads a lot. So there was always a little bit of angst between my Uncle John and my dad. But I got on somewhat okay with my cousins, you know, I got on really well with my cousins from Uncle John. I got somewhat okay with my Uncle John. But it was like in that year leading up to my Uncle John taking his own life, it was like he made amends with heaps of people. Like he randomly turned up to my 21st, and I hadn't seen him for ages, but we were having a bit of a family thing at my sister's house, and he randomly turned up, and it was nice to see him. I wasn't at all mad that he turned up. Like, it was a bit of a surprise. It
Yeah.
wouldn't have been somebody I thought who had turned up on the day, but it was nice to see him and to see him smiling as well. Like, he was happy, like he looked content. And the last thing he said to me, well, he asked me if I had any weed. And I said, yeah. And I went and got some weed out the car and I gave him what I had. And that was the last time I ever saw him.
Yeah.
And yeah, a couple of months later, I think he jumped off the Auckland Harbour Bridge. Yeah. And so it was really, really sad. My sister and myself had to deliver the news to my cousin, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And my cousin and me have always had a really tight relationship, and so that was really, really, really hard to do that. And even with my two best friends, my best friend Michelle, she had to deliver the news to me both times. So it was nice to have come from her, but it must have been really hard for her to have to deliver that news to me for a second time, let alone the first time. Yeah. So, it's something that shaped me deeply growing up. You know, having lost a best friend. You know, we were all a big group at that young age, and we were really tight. And to have that happen to us, we didn't really know what to do afterwards. Like, there was no offer of counselling. There was no kind of like, oh well, you know, this is the sort of stuff that's going to happen now, and this is the sort of things that you could go through, and these are probably the things that you shouldn't do. For me, I was like on the cusp of turning 18, and so it was like as soon as I was able to get into the clubs, it was like I just drowned all that misery and partying and party drugs, and that made me feel really good, and that made me forget about the anguish, and that's not really a very healthy way to go about it. But at the time, it made me feel really good.
Yeah, you blocked it all out.
And it was suppressing those emotions, and it was because we hadn't been taught how to manage them or to deal with them, or and I'm glad there's a lot more information out there now for victims of of suicide and whatnot. But it's it's never nice to have to go through it, like, and because there's so many unanswered questions, the whys. And you always be left with the why.
Yeah.
And you never know why. You could maybe come, think about some hypothesis in your mind about the why. You could look at the timeline around the event and go, oh, maybe this is it, but you never really know.
Yeah. Well, I had one friend do it. We were all quite close when we were younger, and we just kind of lose touch. Whereas some of our friends still stayed close to him, and yeah, it's quite hard when I got the phone call about what had happened, because I think it made me realize I guess it made me realize not to holding a grudge isn't the right word. I'm trying to say the things you never got to ask or talk to them about, or not being able to catch up with them again and saying sorry we didn't keep in touch, all those kind of things. And I think it's a pretty big lesson that I learned from my dealings with someone taking their lives as well. And yeah, it's sad knowing that I'll never be able to do the things that we used to do when we did catch up those random times, recreate them from our past. So yeah, it's not a nice feeling, and especially I still remember getting the phone call.
Yeah, it's a horrible moment, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one I know a lot of people would have gone through. And it never gets any easier to hear it. And even if, like, back in, would have been 22, I think, my mate Travis, I got the phone call about my an old mate of mine, Travis. And even though I hadn't seen him for many years, it still broke me knowing that he had gotten to that point of his life.
Yeah.
And, those things happen. And it's, it's just a really sad thing. And especially with the likes of my mate Zahn, he left a beautiful wife behind and 2 beautiful kids. And I see his daughter, and I see so much of him and his daughter. It's uncanny. It's just uncanny, but it's nice to be able to see him and his daughter. You know what I mean? And but yeah, there's just so much you miss out on. And I always think, if my mate Sam had have stuck around, this was 17. This is, what are we, 26 years ago now. Look at all the life that he's missed out on, just from not being able to say, you know what, I'm really struggling in this moment and I need some help. And that's all it is. Like, yeah.
They should probably cater to the masses more as well. Like the stats obviously say that men are more affected.
Totally.
They should probably, on their campaigns and their ads and all that stuff, probably push a bit more on the male side of things, because as soon as it's the other way around, we all hear about it, which is fine. I don't mean that in any negative way, but
No.
just saying, well, the stats aren't lying, so maybe there should be a bit more focus on, which there is, but just really
I guess
enforce
they don't like talking about it in the media because they fear copycats. But the thing is, people are going to do it regardless of whether or not they hear it in the media. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but I don't watch a lot of news. I'll find out news if I want to find it out. It's hard to know what's real and what's not these days. I don't want to get political or anything, but I just try and stay away from it as much as I can. But I guess this is the kind of thing that needs to push it, investigative journalism and, people who have platforms, because the thing is, a lot of these young people these days, they're not listening to the news.
No.
They're not listening to the news on the radio. They don't even fucking listen to radio anymore. I mean, who listens to the fucking radio?
I couldn't tell you a station anymore. Unless they're still the same.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a clue if there's any new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think the shift in the way that social media can have a part in it is good. And that's why I talk about it a lot. I mean, people who know me or follow me or whatever probably get sick of hearing it every year. But the thing is, I'll fucking keep harping on about it because it's really important. And it's important to know that you can reach out, and you should be reaching out to those friends you haven't heard from in ages. Or if you have, a mate who you heard from all the time and then you don't hear from him for a while, all of a sudden it's just kind of like, okay, why is he dropped off?
Yeah.
What's going on there? Maybe I do need to reach out to him. Instead of just thinking about it, fucking do it. Pick up the phone and give him a call, or give her a call, or send them a text, or it can just be that simple. And,
how many times someone's probably gone, I was going to call him as well and reach out. And
that's right.
You hear that too many times as well.
That's right. I mean, like with my mate Zahn in 2018, on New Year's 2017 to 2018, I kind of had this little thing where I was holding on to a few things of the past, and my family will know will tell you that I don't necessarily hold a grudge, but I find it hard to forget.
Yeah.
Okay. And but this was something that I really felt like I needed to work on. Letting go of things that I was just holding on to for no reason, just because I just couldn't let go, right? But back when we were younger, my mate Zahn, myself, and another mate of mine, Garrick, we lived in a factory, and there was a lot of cars being built, and a lot of rotaries being built and stuff like that, and everyone was always at our place all the time, and it was a bit of a hang spot. It was pretty cool. I enjoyed living there for the year and a half that I lived there. I built my own bedroom in the corner of this factory and stuff, and it was pretty ghetto, but it was pretty cool. But Zahn and I had done this deal on some car parts, and with some car parts from my car to get some work done on my car for these car parts and stuff. And he got the parts from me. I never got the work out of him for my car, and then he ended up selling his car with my parts, and I never got anything out of it. And I should have said something at the time. And this was my problem, right? This was my problem. I couldn't speak up. I didn't feel like I had much of a voice. There was a lot more bigger personalities than me in the group, and I just didn't feel like I could speak up. But it was something that I thought about a lot for a long time, and then it got to a point where I couldn't speak about it because it had been too long, and it was like I just let it go. Zahn had always remained my mate. I had always classed him as one of my best mates, regardless of whether that happened. Like for me, it was more about the principle, not the materialism of the object. It was more just about the principle. And but then when I had this little revelation to myself on this New Year's, and I said to myself, I was going to reach out to Zahn, and I was going to tell Zahn about how I felt about that moment. But I was going to forgive him for it, but I wanted him to forgive me for not bringing it up sooner. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I relinquished him of any wrongdoing. It was me who did the wrongdoing because I didn't speak up. And we talked about it. And it was good to be able to get it off my chest. And I felt really unweighted because I'd been able to talk to him about that. And it took me 13 years to be able to get the courage to speak to him about that. And it wasn't because I wasn't mad about it. I just felt a little bit hard done by, I guess.
Like you should have known.
Yeah,
that was
like he should have come to the party with something, but then later that year he took his life, and I think I would have felt really shit if I had have never been able to get to talk to him about that. And I guess that's the importance of talking to your mates and catching up with your mates and kind of being honest with your friends. And from that moment, I was always like, I'm going to be 100% honest with my mates, regardless of whether the truth hurts, regardless of whether it's hard to say or hard to hear. And I would expect my friends to be the same towards me. If I've been a shit bugger, tell me. If I've done something wrong, tell me. Because the thing is, life is not promised, it's a privilege. And it could all be ended tomorrow, by some freak accident. So, I mean, we can't, it just solidified the importance of talking more to me. And so when that happened, it was kind of like, I'm really sick of people in my life taking their own lives. So that's when I started speaking up about it more. That's when I started to go, you know what, well, what can I do about it? Because I'm no expert. I'm no counselor. I'm no suicide prevention counselor. I don't really know how to help people with mental health issues other than I'm here, I'm open, you can talk to me. If you need a shoulder, if you need air, if, that's how I can help. And so that's what I started to do. Yeah. But like I've been through, I guess I've been through depression and forms of anxiety and stuff like that, but I've never really had any suicide ideation of my own because of how hard it hit me when I was 17 when Sam took his life. And I just thought to myself, I could never do that. And I think you'd have to be, like, I think people who do, you'd have to be that far into your own, into your own psyche that the demons are that strong, got that strong of a hold on you that you probably feel like there's no other way. But yeah, I just, I don't think I could ever do it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like, as you know, I went through my patch of it all, and as you said, it gets to a point where those demons do get quite loud and it's just important that you find anything that you can relate to or grasp, and just think that's the one thing that I can't do without. And for me, it was, I wanted to know what my kids were going to grow up to be. That was the only thing that kept me from doing it, because that's the only thing that I could think of at the time. And it's a hard thing to go through. People who deal with it like I've dealt with it. It'd always be on the way to work, or I'd start driving and crying, and so it's very hard. And then but then trying to talk to people about it too, which I was open about it, which is, I'm quite fortunate that I can do that, because I did get some good advice. And if it wasn't for me talking out to my doctor, who knows what would have happened that day. But it's just really important to find your voice. It's not weak to it ain't weak to speak. All those cliches about talking up, and just do it, because it's that's obvious. That's a big factor from, like what I said at the beginning of the episode, that there's a lot more help out there than ever, and it's still getting missed. Well, at some point in time, you have to start saying, well, we need to take onus and really start opening up. Yep.
Yeah. And that's it, eh?
Yeah.
That's it, man. That's it. So I guess let's just leave it there.
Yeah,
Leave
just
it at that
chin
one.
up anyone that's going through it.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Chin up.
I guess you're not alone.
Reach out.
And if you have been triggered by this conversation for whatever reason, remember there's plenty of people we can ring out there. Who have we got here in Australia? We've got Lifeline, Beyond Blue, Men's Line Australia, Kids Helpline, Suicide Callback Service, and 000. And then in New Zealand, you've got Lifeline Aotearoa, 1737, Need to Talk, Youthline, Samaritans NZ, What's Up, and 111 111.
Just do it. Just fucking do it. I've done it.
Yeah.
I've rung them.
But sorry for the somber episode today, but I think it was something that we needed to talk about.
Yeah.
Being that it is World Suicide Prevention Day. Fuck your algorithm, YouTube. I don't really care. And peace out.
Real talk. We're putting it all on the table. You know what to do.